Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Don Arleth, and we're here at the National Stadium in Warsaw at Defence24 Days. I'm now joined by Magdalena Sobkowiak-Czarnecka,
Very well.
the Government Plenipotentiary for Security Assistance for Europe instrument, also known as SAFE.
That's true.
Thank you so much for joining us.
With
It's great
pleasure,
to have you.
always.
Okay, so just for a little background for our viewers, people hear 44 billion euros for Poland is a grant. It's a loan. It has to be repaid. It comes under the credit rating of the European Commission, so it's expected to be a very low interest loan. So it gives us savings. And what is it going to cost? Who ultimately pays? And under what time frame will these loans bolster Polish defense?
I think it's very also important to underline that for the first time ever, EU is investing such a money in defense capabilities. It has never happened before, and defense wasn't a domain, an area which EU was active in. And it has changed during Polish presidency, which took place last year. And we were the one to put idea on the table that we should use European Commission to get the money for defense capabilities. Since the main idea for the SAFE mechanism is that every country on their own, almost every country in EU on their own, they have lower rating than Commission. So if we were looking for such a money on the market, we won't get such a big amount. But even if we do, the interest will be much higher. So we use the European Commission to get the money from the markets and then transfer it to member states. That's the main idea. And the conditions they are really special because the time for the repayment of the loan is 45 years. And that's one thing. The other one is that for the first 10 years, the only thing that we pay is the interest, and the rest of the main part, the main body of the loan, we will start paying after 10 years. And as you mentioned, the interest, it's the same interest that EU is getting money on the world market. So it is much lower than the interest that we will possibly get if we will buy money all over the world. And getting loan for defense capabilities, it isn't something new. It's not a new solution, since we are also having a loan from US, also having a loan from Korea. But here, what is also unique is that we will invest almost 90% of this money in Polish defense industry. So almost everything that we would buy, because SAFE is a product-based program, almost everything that we will buy using SAFE money, we will buy here on domestic market. That means that the SAFE mechanism is not only investing in defense and security, but it's also investing in our own economy. And you asked about the deadline. Yeah, the time is really running, since all the defense products that we are buying using SAFE money, they should be delivered to the army till the end of 2030, which on the defense market, it's a very short time.
It is a short time. And just to follow up on that, 45 years, why is Poland interested in paying interest only for 10 years and then paying off such a large loan over such a large period of time? Most of this equipment will be mothballed by that time.
But it's better to pay off in a longer time than a shorter one. I think that the main problem is the geopolitics right now. We need this equipment right now. The enemy is just next door. There's a war going on in Ukraine, just next to the Polish border. So we don't have time. We need equipment as soon as possible. And also we need stronger defense industry in Poland, since if we really want to be secure, we need to have strong army with good equipment, but also very strong domestic defense industry. And this is also what we are creating using the SAFE mechanism. And the condition that Commission is giving, that we need to pay back the money in the period of time of 45 years, give us now a space that we can invest, get the capabilities, and don't focus on paying back money. That will come later.
And keep the momentum. SAFE passed quietly in most, if not all, European countries, but here in Poland, it's a very hot political potato, if you will.
It is.
Why has this become politicized in the domestic realm. Is this just domestic politics? Because generally Poles tend to agree with each other when it comes to having strong national defense.
That is the first time ever when in Poland after 1989 the issue of security is the issue that divides society and divides politicians. And it was quite surprising for me. So I think the most polarizing factor here is that the money is coming from EU. And what I believe that is the opposition right now who is saying no for the money coming from the safe mechanism, the biggest disadvantage for them is that this money is coming from EU. I don't want to go too far saying that they are thinking about Polexit, but it's also the issue that is running around the country. So it was a really hot discussion. We even had a veto of the president to the law that we passed through the parliament about the safe mechanism. But that means that we really had a success as a negotiation team, that even though there was a veto, even though that the Polish motion, the investment plan that we sent to the Commission was the biggest one among all the member states, we had over 100 projects. Other countries had few or around 30, 50. We are the first one to finish this race. Tomorrow we will sign the agreement and we will be the first one in Europe to get the money from the safe mechanism. I heard, for example, today that Portugal will sign their agreement in June, so a month later than us. So I strongly believe this is a success of our government.
How much of this will actually flow to Polish companies? You mentioned 90%?
Yeah, almost 90% will fly to Polish companies. What we are buying from abroad, these are the capabilities that we cannot produce here on our own. For example, is the MRTT, the tanker, that we don't have a specialty here in Poland to produce that, to develop that. But the rest we will buy here. And the other good part of the safe mechanism is that we start to change our domestic defense industry to produce not only for the needs of our government, but also produce it for an export. Since we have the option in the safe mechanism of common procurement, which means that we need to have two member states paying from their own money, but we need to meet with the same producer, with the same product. And the idea of the Polish government is that if we want to have a common procurement, let's encourage other member states to do their purchases in the Polish industry, which means that during the last weeks, I visited a lot of European capitals with Polish industry, trying to do the commercial for our industry and our defense products, and it is quite successful. And if we will switch in the Polish defense industry, not only to produce for the domestic needs, but do the export, that will be the other advantage of the safe mechanism.
This is the last solo purchase before joint procurement. I think you mentioned that.
Yes, till the 30th of May. That's the last bell to buy as a solo.
But Polish threat perceptions, industrial interests, and procurement preferences are different than, say, other partners like France or Germany. In Poland's case, which specific capability would Poland be forced to accept under this mechanism?
That we will buy with other member states. The first one is the one that I mentioned is the MRTT, so the tankers, which the Spanish colleagues are producing. In terms of our domestic industry, I think the biggest interest of other member states, it's about the SAN, which is kind of an anti-drone shield. It's a Polish idea after the night from 9th to 10th September, when the Russian drones invaded the Polish airspace. Then is the issue of Piorun's, the missiles, and also the drones. We have quite successful companies producing drones. Those drones are now used on Ukraine. So there are plenty of our national products that we have many other nations interested in buying.
Okay, final question. If we know there's so many bottlenecks in the European defense industry right now, they're really oversold. There's a lot of money going in, but obviously production capability has to come online and they have to actually start.
Yeah, that's interesting right now that we have a lot of money. There's lots of money on the market. And after also the situation in the Middle East, the new actors has come to the stage from the Middle East region also with lots of money. So there's lots of money on the market. But the problem is the defense capabilities. The lines are really long, and that's the issue.
Are you confident that SAFE is going to be that catalyst which brings it all together? And will the deadlines be met by 2030?
That will be a great test for the Polish defense industry, and I'm pretty curious how it will end. For this moment, we have the declarations from all the producers that they will manage to fit to 2030. But what was also very important during the conversation, for me, during the conversation with the Commission, was that we have a right as a country at every stage to change the investment plan. So we can change the list of purchases, since time from 26 to 30 is 4 years. And nowadays, in the new techniques of the battlefield, of the theater, 4 years, it's a long time. So I think 3-4 years ago, nobody will think that the drones will be number one. So I'm pretty curious what will be the number one in 2-3 years. So it doesn't mean that all the things that we are planning to buy right now, that will be the final list that we will come to the Commission in 2030.
Okay, Magdalena Sobkowiak-Czarnecka, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Very much.
It was a pleasure. Have a great evening. Thank you.
And that concludes this discussion from Defence 24 Days here in Warsaw. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time. Bye.